Hello, testing. Hello. Can you hear me? Chief, it's me, Max. Hello. All right. I think the microphone's working. Everything should be working in the right direction, except for my hair, which obviously is starting to get probably in need of a bit of a cut. Jason Hutt's in the house, all the way from New Zealand, but he was third in tonight. Callum was second in. Congratulations to Stephen. I don't know what you guys aren't doing on a Friday night. Probably not doing much like me. Sorry, I'm running a bit late tonight. And last night, I did have the opportunity to put on a show. I'll get to that shortly. Let me say hello to a few people. Sunflower, love you dearly. Coming to see you soon, or at least coming up your way soon. So hopefully we'll be able to catch up. Who else? Michelle's in the place. Daniel, hi everyone. Sorry I'm late. Toxic, Julia, Davo. Thanks for your email, Dave. I haven't checked out that video yet, but I will be looking at it tonight. I've just been absolutely flat out at the moment. Jason, I hope things are going all right in NZ, mate. We're hearing a lot of interesting things out of there. If you want to email me and make contact, carl@vofhq.com, I'd be really keen to get a bit of an idea of a man on the ground over there. I've got friends in radio over there, but they don't talk to me anymore because, well, we'd have to talk about the things like we talk about here, and they don't want to talk about that. So I'm looking for somebody on the ground over there that knows what's going on or gets a bit of an idea. We're hearing all sorts of interesting stories, particularly as it's pertaining to court movements regarding the Waitangi tribunals and Waitangi treaty. So I don't claim to understand any or all of that. So I'd be interested if you've got half an idea, or you can put me in touch with someone who can help me out, mate. I'd be very keen. Did I say hello, Julie? Hello, Julie. Aussie Sue's in the house. Aussie Sue, God, you must be sick and tired of seeing military forces up around your way at the moment. Let's touch on this briefly. We're actually going to talk about it, so this is totally off the cuff. Operation Talisman Sabre is on at the moment. There are about 9 countries involved: the UK, France, Indonesia, Singapore, Australia, obviously, and New Zealand. I think a couple of others may be involved. Fiji could be involved there too. This is an operation that's taking part basically across the northern portion of Australia at the moment. And there are, according to a document that I read yesterday, a defense document yesterday, there are 30,000 troops involved. I've had people tell me, Aussie Sue, from up your way, or when I say up your way, I mean, there is nothing up your way. You're in Mount Isa. But on the way to your way, also up there in the middle of nowhere, apparently somewhere between Hughenden and, is it Cloncurry? Yeah, I think it's Cloncurry on that bit of road. Somewhere there are 35,000 troops alone amassed. And a lot of them are apparently in UN garb. Now, don't know the ins and outs of Operation Talisman Sabre. There is always 2 sides. Usually one side's called the orange side, and the Australian forces are sort of trying to protect from the orange attackers. This might be a new thing. Maybe this is a UN tactic. Not even sure that it's actually UN garb. Let's be honest, the people weren't terribly clear. But I don't know whether or not you have anybody who is able to confirm or deny such things, or if you happen to know anybody who might fly a plane in that general direction. They're apparently off the highway, but not too far off the highway. I also imagine that Hughenden and Cloncurry would be seeing a huge amount of vehicular traffic, military vehicular traffic, if nothing else, if not a big influx of cash into the town with the guys pulling up and getting drinks and buying pies and whatever else they need to stay warm, cold, or otherwise during their next adventures. But that operation is happening right across the north of Australia. I think if you draw a line just north of Mackay and essentially across to Darwin, that's the area they're operating in. So we're expecting to see a lot of military there. Look, if they're UN, they're UN. But we did know that there were UN vehicles being seen in Brisbane. They were also being prepared in Brisbane. They could possibly have been shipped out of Brisbane to the UN somewhere in Europe. They did get, interestingly, they did get moved very quickly when they were discovered. They were taken indoors rather than stored out in the open like they had been. But those vehicles might have been, they were being prepared during the jab fest, so and the lockdowns. So who knows? Until we actually get somebody who can confirm it and look at it, it's just what it is. Interesting little story about potentially 35,000 is a lot of people to have stuck in that little area. But I know there are landings planned. If people are interested, there are landings planned around Townsville. I think there are landings planned around Bowen as well. Pretty big landings at Bowen, with 6 different ships involved. I think in both of those different scenarios, and they'll be landing troops from all nations. So Bowen and Townsville are the areas that I know of so far for that. There's also a couple of those exercises happening in the Gulf. Where in the Gulf exactly, I don't know. It could be all the way around, just off Darwin for all I know. So that's interesting. If only just to see that we seem to be working with our international neighbours. The ones that interest me being there are the UK and the French. Have you been watching what's going on in France? This is another thing I wasn't going to talk about, but now that the French have come up, there seems to be a great deal of vision that we're seeing on Telegram and other places of France been on fire basically every night for the last couple of weeks. Riots in the streets. Well, not so much riots, but certainly, well, I guess what would you call it if not a riot? Streets set on fire, cars set on fire, windows smashed, buildings looted, businesses looted, particularly very badly. Although, how do you grade looting? But some businesses, particularly in small towns, were just cleaned out. I don't understand that. I really don't understand that. And I can understand why people will take their anger out on public buildings. But at the end of the day, we own the public buildings too, and we're only going to have to rebuild them. It's just moronic. And I have people in Paris at the moment, just by pure fluke. They are seeing nothing of this. They've been there a week, and they have seen no unrest in Paris whatsoever. And they've been getting around the place, having a look, first time there, all that kind of thing. So they're getting around, seeing the sights. And at night, they're going out, having dinner, walking around, seeing the sights, and not hearing or seeing any of this rioting stuff that's going on. There are other stories coming out that those doing the rioting are all dressed in black and very Antifa-like, and have been waiting in the wings to try and fire this up. A lot of them are being portrayed as Muslim and Muslim immigrants, which may or may not be the case. The fact of the matter is, there is now a lot of people putting videos out saying, so where's all this fighting? We've come here to witness it, and it's not happening. I know it's been happening in all regions of France, but there were cities that the only video we saw come out was supposedly of these mass disturbances. And yet now we're starting to see vision come out that's saying, well, there was no mass disturbance. I've been here forever. Who do you believe? Well, I don't know. Time will tell. I guess there are people in France who are living through it if it's there. And if you know people in France who are living through this hell, then please let us know. It's just interesting that for a while there on Telegram, we were seeing all this great aggro, and then it's gone the other way. So, yeah. Redneck Rumbler, thank you so much. No military movement in Cloncurry as of yet. Let's hope we don't see them on the streets. Their idea would be to keep the enemy out of the towns, wouldn't it? So let's hope they're out there crawling around in the dirt somewhere, making sure that the enemy aren't getting through out that way. I really hope that is the case. Scrolling down through a few comments. Convoy went through Daily Waters in the NT a couple of nights ago. All the Aussies, a lot of big trucks, various sorts. Yep, that would be exactly what you would plan. coming up from Adelaide, or in fact out of Victoria. There could be quite a number of places they could be coming from, depending on the different groups that are involved. I know that certain aerial assets have been redeployed from Sydney to Darwin. They are more an urban asset, as far as I'm aware, rather than an out in the desert kind of warfare unit. So people in Darwin might see some action in and around the city areas. There might be some low-flying helicopters and that sort of stuff going on. You never know. Thank you, Silver Girl, for your sticker. Really appreciate that. Thank you very much. Oh, speaking of things I really appreciate, every one of you I appreciate so much, but the ones of you who got creative and got involved with the Limerick competition, my word, some of you are very creative sausages. Now, I've had a chat with Cass Smith, and I've had a chat with Paul. I've tried to have a chat with Paul. Like most people with kids, he's taken school holidays. He'll be back on Monday, but we're hoping next Tuesday to go in and draw our winners out, or announce our winners. There won't be a draw. Paul will get the opportunity, I hope, over the weekend to have a look at everybody's entries. Same with Cass. And we will judge winners, if you like, and announce them hopefully next Tuesday night. I'll go in and we'll shoot the thing in at Ainsley Bullion. Paul might show us around a little bit. Who knows? Might have some silver or gold he can show off. But thank you to everybody who bothered to enter the competition. Really appreciate it. And one of you is going to take off 10-ounce silver bar, thanks to Ainsley Bullion. And 3 of you are going to take home a 1-ounce silver coin, thanks to Freedom Financial Solutions, Cass and her team. Don't forget, if you are still considering getting your money out of Big Super and turning it into a self-managed super fund where you can effectively fill it up with gold and silver, Cass is the lady to talk to. She and her team can help you out. They'll send you a questionnaire in the form of an email once you make contact. And, pardon me, if you can fill that out, it'll step the process through fairly quickly. They've actually got this process down pat. So if you simply tick the boxes that they indicate as you go past, the money that is currently being kept from you and not earning anything at all can be put to much safer use outside of their financial institution. Turn it into solid metals. And solid precious metals at that. I mean, you can turn it into iron and steel if you like, but yeah, it's probably an argument for some of that too. But I believe a new tungsten, or an old tungsten mine, has been reopened in Australia. So tungsten is now a precious metal worth investing in. And I believe at this point in the game, it might be worth, or it might be fairly low. So if you're into that sort of thing, tungsten, obviously there are a number of precious metals aside from gold and silver. The gold and silver are by far the easiest ones to work with for you and I, potentially. So have a think about it, and if it is something you'd like to do, change your super over to a self-managed super fund, then email me, Carl at vofhq.com, and I'll pass your details direct on to Cass and her team, who will get in contact with you forthwith. It will be pretty spectacular, I think, when we get that going. All right, I want to show you a couple of things. Let me scroll around here and find out what I'm up to. This is an interesting one. The 1st of July was, well, July was renowned for a lot of things. Today's the 7th. We'll get into the 777 thing soon. I don't know what the hell it means. It's all to do with numerology. It's all apparently meant to be very good. It's a bringing together, a unifying thing. So these are good numbers. So today is meant to be a very big day. We are expecting a very big day in America when it turns 777. Now, we've been expecting very big days in America for God knows how long, and nothing's happened. So take that for what you will. Do not get your hopium up too much. The 7th of the 7th, 2023, as in 7, 7, 2 plus 2 plus 0 plus, or 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 3 is 7. I'll get that right eventually. That's how you get the 777 thing. a powerful day, a very, very powerful day. So we'll wait and see just how powerful. We're a few hours off at cracking the 7th in USA yet. So by this time tomorrow night, maybe interesting things will have happened, maybe not. If those interesting things could be that the banks don't open up again over the weekend in America. If that happens, it's probably going to happen or spread wider over the course of next week. So be prepared. But we've been prepared for this before. If you are in any way prepared, you'll have your own food supplies, you'll have your own water things sorted, you'll have cash ready, you'll have the car full of fuel, and you'll have a bit of spare fuel to boot for that. So embrace it, look out for it. It's all going to be interesting. The 1st of July saw the opening of the Australian National Crime or Corruption Commission. Now, NAC, I think that's going to be called, was a former Liberal government initiative. It was a promise to establish an anti-corruption commission. And, of course, the Liberal Party delivered nothing. The Labor Party jumped all over it during the election campaign of 22 and must have been dragged kicking and screaming to the table. And this is why I've always been a little bit suspect about it. They have begun an independent National Anti-Corruption Commission. It was due to start by the end of 22, but they've got it going now at the beginning of 23 financial year. I guess they've done that. That's why it could be called the end of 22. Now, I'm immediately skeptical about anything the Albanese government has put into place that has anything to do with investigating crime and corruption on a national and political scale and what they're going to do about it. I'm really at a loss. However, it is interesting to note that Paul Brereton, AM, RFDSC, has been appointed to serve on behalf of the Australian government as the inaugural commissioner. He will have deputy commissioners, think of them like the prosecutors asking the question, Nicole Rose, PSM, Dr. Ben Gauntlet, and acting deputy commissioner Yala Hinchcliffe. Now, I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens with that. So on the first day of business, if you like, which was Monday for them, what had happened? They'd already had 44 complaints lodged online. That was on day one. 44 complaints. So you can see there that, well, they've got a fairly strong list to investigate serious and systemic corrupt conduct across the Commonwealth in public sectors by ministers, parliamentarians and their staff. You can understand why I'm sceptical why Albanese would put this up, much less any other government. Statutory office holders, employees of all government entities and government contractors operate independent of government. Pardon me. Bullshit. Sorry, did I say that out loud? With discretion to commence inquiries on its own initiative or in response to referrals from anyone. Be overseen by a statutory parliamentary joint committee. Be overseen by a statutory parliamentary joint committee. Empowered to require the Commission to provide information about its work and an independent inspector who will investigate corruption issues and complaints about the NAC and look at how the NAC uses its powers. Now, I think isn't that in direct competition to the line above it? Operate independent of government, overseen by a statutory parliamentary joint committee. I don't understand how those 2 points don't. Maybe I'm just reading that wrong. I can't see your comments at the moment. Maybe somebody's explaining it, so I'll go back and check in a minute. Empowered to inquire the Commission to provide information about its work, yada, yada, yada. Have the power to investigate allegations of serious or systemic corruption that occurred before or after its establishment. So it's wide-ranging in what it can investigate and how far back it can go. It doesn't seem to have any limitation on that. Have the power to hold public hearings in exceptional circumstances and where it is of the public interest to do so. Be empowered. I would have thought every hearing would be of the public interest to do so. Wouldn't you? I mean, okay, in some cases there might be some national security concerns, but in every case, they should have to prove why the people can't know about this. Because once again, if you're going to operate as an independent of government but be overseen by a statutory parliamentary joint committee empowered to require the commission to provide information about its work, then I'm raising some serious question marks. Be empowered to make findings of fact, including findings of corrupt conduct, and refer findings that could be constituted criminal conduct to the Australian Federal Police. Oh, God, we have such great faith in them too, don't we? And the Director of Public Prosecutions, the Commonwealth Director of Public Prosecutions, no less. Operate with procedural fairness, and findings will be subject to judicial review. Operate with procedural fairness, and its findings will be subject to judicial review. All right, so it has the power to make findings of fact. It's a fact that somebody lied about something. Include findings of corrupt conduct. They lied because they got paid. And refer those findings that could constitute criminal conduct to the AFP or the Commonwealth Director of Public Prosecutions. I'm seeing two loopholes in that point alone. Operate with procedural fairness, and its findings will be subject to judicial review. The legislation establishing also provides strong protections for whistleblowers and exemptions for journalists to protect the identity of sources. Well, that's interesting, because I thought the government was actually working on legislation to make that a thing of the past as well. Although these days, journalists, and I say that using inverted commas, don't have much by way of real sources. Well, they have leakers from the government or from the bureaucracy. And frankly, they shouldn't be protected. The bastards should all go to jail. What sort of a budget are they going to run? Well, the government's committed $33.2 million for 22-23. All right, so it just started financial year 23-24, didn't it? So what happened to the first $33.2 million? Maybe they had to buy office desks. Where'd that first $33.2 million go? And then another $295.6 million over 4 years, starting, well, this financial year by the look, for ongoing operations for the oversight of the Commission by the Inspector. Funding will ensure the Commission has the resources to properly consider referrals and allegations, conduct timely investigations, and undertake corruption prevention and education activities. Can I just ask what may seem a relatively stupid question? How long is this going to take? Because if they had 44 cases to investigate by the time they open the doors on Monday morning, how many do you think they'll have by, let's say, close of business tonight? How many investigators are they going to be able to put on those cases to run them down? Who's overseeing all those investigations and any ways that they might actually be interlinked? You can understand where the next $300 million is going, but this all has to be heard before one commissioner, Paul Brereton. Isn't this going to be a very slow process? I fear getting to the bottom of all of this is going to be a shit fight of monumental proportions, if I'm honest. Yeah. Weird. The robo-debt scheme. Right, so, obviously, absolutely abhorrent bloody debt recovery thing that the Liberals put out. My daughter was caught up in that, as well. Uh, can't tell you how close I've come to being banned from any of those, sort of work agency joints, all of them, for the rest of my life. Absolutely, those groups, those little companies that were set up to try and help people find jobs and get paid, not on the basis of finding those people jobs, just how many names they could get on a database. They need to be invested by the NACC in a big way. The NDIS, my God, NDIS needs to be invested in a big way. This robo-debt thing, absolutely abhorrent, absolutely abhorrent. But I am sick and refuse to hear any more bullshit, sanctimonious crap coming out of the Labor Party about it, about how awful the Liberals were to set this up and yada, 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 yada. 2 or 3 words for you. Pink bat destruction. The pink bat scheme put out by Labor. Do you guys remember that? How many young apprentices with no training working with people who had no training, who managed to get some sort of a deal through the government, who were doing mates rates at the time, and getting supposed training courses put together and installation courses put together so that you could get the free pink bats in your roof that the government had promised you. How many young apprentices died in roof cavities fitting those pink bats? From memory, I think it was 12 or 13. There were many others that were injured, severely injured, and I don't know, may have ongoing issues. I know I can think of 2 cases where people were thrown off roofs. And this is all because Labor decided that they knew best when it came to who knew how to install pink bats in roofs, and nobody would be able to tell them different. I want to say Peter Garrett was the scapegoat minister. It's going back a few years. I'm scratching a few memory cells. Peter Garrett, ex-Midnight, or front man for Midnight Oil, was the minister in charge of that. He was put out as a sacrifice. I think Rudd got involved at some stage, and he and the red-headed clown were the instigators of this particular con on the nation. It was simply another shifting of wealth, the people's wealth, through the government back into the hands of the government or members of it by lining up all these little installation companies and paying them a bloody fortune to install pink bats that cost you absolutely nothing. Now, great idea to insulate, wonderful idea. But the government of the day, the Labor government of the day, didn't go into too much health and safety, didn't go into worrying about, training properly, didn't worry about any of that, just, got the pat on the back, wanted the pat on the back, wanted the public exposure. So I won't hear them having a go at the Liberals over robo-debt much more. They've all got blood on their hands. I don't care what party they come from. None of them are worth a pinch of shit. The fact of the matter is this is still all a movie, and I don't know why I'm getting worked up over it, because there really isn't much point. There were some other things I wanted to show you tonight. I've had a couple of days to store up a few little things, but admittedly, some of this is a little old. We've been talking about chemtrails for some time. We've been talking about some of the things that go into those chemtrails. Can I tell you that today, let me find it. Where did I put it? Right. Well, somewhere around me here. Oh, it's over there. I can't reach it. I received a package today that contains a very decent sample of whatever that was that they were spraying on us. Now, do you mean yesterday or the day before or last week or whatever? No, I don't. I mean something that they were spraying on us nearly 2 years ago. Now, this sample was captured from Cooktown. and rained down overnight. It is a strange-looking substance, strange color. It seems to be attracted to aluminium, particularly aluminium doors and windows and that sort of thing. We get the feeling there was meant to be water, or it was meant to be part of a storm or whatever, and not be seen or congregate quite like it has. But at any rate, there's a lady up that way who walked out this morning and found all this crap all over her house and took a sample of it for me. She has been holding on to that sample until I've had somewhere where we can get it tested. And now that I'm in a bit of contact with David Nixon and a group of professional scientists, we have the ability to look at these things and try and get them analysed. So that will be the next step. So we will have a sample of what they were spraying on us just under 2 years ago, when everybody was saying nobody's spraying anything. So we'll have a solid sample of that. And I've got it now, and it has been kept in pristine condition. Can I say that? It's been kept in a Faraday cage as well, to protect it from any electrical interference. And yeah, it's a pretty clean sample. So looking forward to seeing what comes of that. Now, last night I was going to do a show, and I got a phone call. We've been trying to hook up with this lady for a couple of days, and she rang about 6 o'clock last night. And I said, okay, let's have a quick chat. I've got to do a show in half an hour. And we got off the phone at 9:30 last night. This was an amazing chat, a really, really interesting chat about our log of claims and where it's going further. So this lady is a part of a group that have gone over John's log of claims and have looked at the architecture of it, have looked at the structure of it, have looked at the meanings of what's been put forward in it, have offered their thoughts, their questions have been answered. They've made suggestions, and there is a new iteration, if you like, of the log of claims. It's still basically the same document that you'll see. You'll just see that it's been changed slightly in its wording and in its presentation. I did have it open here on something. Let me just see if I've still got it up. Doesn't seem I do. So my apologies, but I will have it up on Monday night because the lady involved will be coming on and having a chat. We're going to talk through it. We might even see if we can't put John on the horn as well. I will hopefully catch up with the old pirate over the weekend. Speaking of weekends, if you're in Coffs Harbour, look out, we're coming. John is booked to speak. I was asked, but I don't generally go to rallies, let alone speak at them. But I'll play show for this weekend. Well, next weekend it'll be in Coffs Harbour for their big mega rally. Now, there is a big market planned. I think it starts at 10 a.m. and goes through till 8 or 9 o'clock at night. There is also a bit of a conference happening with speakers from 3 o'clock in the afternoon till 8 o'clock at night. I think John's speaking or late afternoon or early evening. So we'll be down there for that. Looking forward to getting back into Coffs Harbour. It's a beautiful part of the world. Gary Benjamin, look out. If I find you're anywhere around town, mate, look out. We might have to try and catch up. There are a few people down Coffs Way, so if you want to catch up, let me know. John and I might wind up staying the night in Coffs or somewhere around there. We might organise to go and have breakfast the next morning if you're up for it. And if you guys know somewhere nice where a group of us can pull up and have a bit of a chat for breakfast before we head back, then maybe we can hook that up. Email me, carl@vofhq.com. If that's the case. That'll be next Sunday, not this one, but next Sunday in Coffs Harbour. And don't forget the mega rallies on Saturday, and I think on Sunday too. So you could start out breakfast with us and head off on the Sunday if you wanted to go and check out what's going on at the markets and the rally there and the conference that day. But look forward to seeing you in Coffs. It's a beautiful part of the world. I've stayed overnight once, had a beautiful walk along the beach. I think I did a live off the beach in Coffs down there. So wouldn't mind going back and doing another one of those. So we'll see what happens. That's coming up next weekend. So if you're a John Wilson fan, you'll be able to catch up with him. Part of the chat that we had last night with the girls, and I'm leaving them nameless at the moment for reasons I'll get into on Monday night. One of the things I learned about last night is something I'd never heard of before, which is called the Pacific Islanders Protection Act 1975. Now, in this time where we're having to fight for the no vote, probably more particularly among our black brothers and sisters than in our white part of the country, if I'm honest, it looks like the vote is basically defeated before it gets to the polls now. But there is a huge push to convince our tribal people that they should be all voting yes for it. Can I tell you, if you have one sliver of tribal blood in you, please go and read the Pacific Islanders Protection Act of 1975, particularly clause number 7. All right, particularly that one. Now, I haven't got a pristine copy of that yet. I'm trying to get a copy from government archives, actually, so that I know the exact wording in the document. I have seen what could well be that exact document in something else, but I like to try and find my own sources too, you know. So that document has been put out today. I noticed Ray Christensen has emailed it to me, so he's got that out on a mailing list at the moment. I can only think that the ladies have shared that with him as well in the last little while, and we're happy for it to get shared out wherever. It is a document for everyone. So share the hell out of it, folks. It is a very, very worthy... now I do have it. So why can't I see that? Give me 1 second here, folks. I've just been able to figure out where it is. And I'm trying to figure out why I can't see the Adobe Acrobat file. That's it. Let me share this. Okay. So this is essentially now what the log of claims looks like. If you have the other document, which is still available at vofhq.com, you can compare the two. You'll find that it really is only a change of wording that, if you like, gives the architecture of the document more stability. That'll mean something to many of you. It might mean nothing to some of you. If that's the case, don't sweat it. It just means the document is worded in a way that is stronger, clearer, and more concise. So I'll read, if you like, the top of it. The Australian Log of Claims. This log of claims opens with the dramatic words, "A spectre is haunting Australia, the spectre of the Khazarian Mafia and their central banking World Economic Forum cartels," and ends by stating, "Ordinary Australians of all races, colours and creeds have nothing to lose but their chains. We have a new world. It's ours to win. Australians and the peoples of all countries of the world unite." The rights of all people on this continent, commonly known as Australia, are to have their needs met. Using the model of Maslow's hierarchical needs, this includes the following: psychological needs, basic survival; safety and security; love and belonging; self-esteem; self-actualization. Since March 2020, the people on this continent have been in decline, and the above needs being has seen a decline in the above needs being met. This decline has been quick and destructive on the rights of the people. All Australians have been shaken to their very core, and many awakened. During this awakening time, the ones whom have awakened have come to the realization that our country is being held hostage by an internationally interlinked crime syndicate of global corporations masquerading as government entities who, in conjunction with secret societies act in treason of our nation. The conditions of existence for ordinary Australians during this time have become unbearable. We have seen ours, our family and friends, and our fellow Aussies having their lives, liberty, sovereignty, and wealth stolen, threatened, and destroyed. The Australian people have experienced and witnessed the utter betrayal inflicted upon them by every state-owned institution, in conjunction with every corporation that is connected to international economic organisations and domestic trade unions. Police forces, both state and federal, and council officers are also up to their necks in betrayal. In the year 2023, the Australian people now comprehend that these attacks upon our lives, liberty, sovereignty, and wealth are only going to increase both in volume and severity. It's well past time for the people of this continent to act in the best and highest interests of every Australian. No longer shall the Australian people allow any further control, manipulation, or infiltration by any hostile nation and or international corporations and or secret societies and or any man or woman acting for any of those previously mentioned entities or for their own agenda. To this end, the Australian people now sever all covenants and or international treaties and contracts that do not serve the people. This is to be done by way of declaring our national independence from all those who are intent on destroying our way of life and enslaving our people. This includes, but is not limited to, any and all whom impact our needs as detailed in Maslow's hierarchy of needs in Appendix 1, which I'll share with you on Monday night. Why is this being organised? The freedom movement has been infiltrated, fractured, and our country has reached a crisis point with respect to violence meted out to vulnerable and defenceless people by law enforcement agencies, blatant election fraud making it impossible for political reform, continued unlawful COVID-19 mandates despite the narrative collapsing under the weight of its own lies, Australian funds, military equipment, and personnel being sent to serve in wars that deplete our nation's resources with no conversation with or agreement from the people, exposing those responsible to charges of war crimes. The current political, law enforcement, and judicial climate has demonstrated itself to be dysfunctional and compromised. The normal tools of advocacy, elections, lobbying, grassroots pressure have all become impotent and useless. The globalists control the political process and the media. They've nearly limitless resources. But it is we, the people, who possess the right to be heard and guide the course of our nation. It is the obligation of the representatives of a true government of the people to carry out those wishes. The people have the power to create, to love one another, and to create governance for the betterment of all. The point is to bring individuals and groups together who support an Australian national log of claims, so that all of us, the freedom fighters, can leverage off our common numbers, which will lead to the utter defeat of the current rule. The time has come to engage in massive, non-violent action to build a culture of resistance in order to take power away from the World Economic Forum, the United Nations, the World Health Organization, and all Australian government public and private agencies, and build a country that we can all love and live peacefully in. Here is the suggested Declaration of Independence. The Australian people now declare to all of the world their independence from global central banking and all associated entities, the United Nations and all associated entities, the World Health Organization and all associated entities, the World Economic Forum and all associated entities, maritime law and all associated entities, administrative law and all associated entities, contract law and all associated entities, the British royal family and the associated institutions, and any man, woman, or entity that acts against the Australian people. All Australians who affirm their support to this national log of claims now declare their independence from all the above. The Australian National Log of Claims. Who's organising it? We are a group of individuals committed to retaining Australia's sovereignty, law and order, and the safety for all of her people. We are not an organisation, nor do we intend to become one. We do intend to develop a model of working together in harmony to reflect the kind of society we would like to see, one that acts with non-violence and mutual respect, is diverse, makes decisions by consensus, and encourages creativity, community, and real solutions. What are our demands? The following forms the initial and immediate demands, but is by no means inclusive, and we reserve the right to amend and or add to an existing demand and or add other demands as they become apparent. Any such amendments and or additions will be communicated and detailed in appropriate appendices. Or appendices. Is that, I don't know how you say that. Appendices. Yeah, well, that word. So you can see there just the initial: health, environment, infrastructure, treasury, political, foreign affairs, housing, agriculture, industry, finance, security, foreign trade, the rule of law, defence, culture, spirituality, education, employment, workplace relations, sport, natural resources, energy, science, and technology. The document goes in to explain in greater detail, of course. Well, not great detail, but in a few lines as to what each of those points actually reflects. I like it all, but I particularly like these three. Culture: stop the enforced acceptance of lifestyles, ideologies, and beliefs of a sector of the community on all people, regardless of an individual's sovereign cultural peridium. Spirituality: start access to all people, from children to the elderly, to a program of cohesive education of positive emotions and frequencies, recognizing that we are sovereign and are a significant part of the universe. Stop divisiveness through religious persuasions, race, culture, and material status. Education: stop all education where it was teaching students to be a good slave. Stop educating students on the slave system, including government structure and altered history. Start educating students on the true history and new technologies. Start a new structure of learning away from the current institutionalized school buildings and universities. I think that is a bloody brilliant, three bloody brilliant points. They are all bloody brilliant points. And I will make sure that Vince posts this up on the Voice of Freedom website, hopefully by tomorrow lunchtime-ish, so that you can get it up. I might even have a go at trying to post it up tonight, but me and driving the website haven't got along too terribly well. It is worthwhile, once again, having a bit of a read through this document. I know many of you already have. This document has been filled out in a little more detail, as you can see. John has also been part of the process. In fact, he's had meetings with these ladies now for quite I think he's up to about 4.5, 5 hours worth of meetings with them so far in what they've been going through. You can see the level of work that has gone into this. And this is Appendix 1. And look, I haven't even scrolled down. There's another 2 pages of this yet. So you can see the level of work that has gone into it. And did I mention that the people that have helped put all this together, many of them are tribal people. So this has a lot of power from our First Nations people behind it. And certainly their fingerprints are all over it from what we've been putting together with the girls over the last few days. So, and I've put none of this together. I'll be 100% open. None of this is my work. I've simply been part of conversations for those who've been part of this, and lucky enough last night to get a look at this and have a deep conversation with the lady that put all this together herself. Well, she has a hell of a background and many, many skills. And the skills are language, the use of words, knowing what those words mean, and being able to put them together into a document. This is going to be powerful. So I want you folks to reconsider another download when I've got this ready on the website. It should be up tomorrow. I will send it to Vince straight away, and he might even have it on tonight at some stage if I can raise him. He wasn't terribly well the other day when we chatted, so I hope he's feeling a little bit better. We were talking about chemtrails and all that sort of stuff. One of the things I said, we have this sample. One of the things that we might wind up finding in there is barium and aluminium. Interesting. When you bring those two symbols together, that's what you get. So I don't know, it might just be a coincidence. Those sort of things happen, don't you? Did you see over the weekend, July 4th weekend, of course, everything went on holidays, except in Washington, D.C., where they had a hazmat situation. Lights, sirens, full engagement at the White House. Dee-doo, dee-doo, dee-doo. We all thought that Joe had died and they needed a hazmat suit because the plastic and the wiring had caught fire. But apparently that wasn't the case. Apparently they found a bag containing what turned out to be cocaine on White House grounds. I'm just saying, the cleanup team was exceptional, absolutely exceptional. Why would a bag be? Well, turns out they were having a bit of a party with Joe, got his favorite movie out over the weekend, and well, accidents happen. What can we say? Poor old Joe. Here's an interesting one. 24-hour alarm and video surveillance system. This one's in Western Australia. What's it 24-hour surveilling you for? Oh, it's doing number plate recognition on your car as you're driving up that particular bit of road. And if you're not allowed to go out anywhere, it'll tell you. It will also tell them where you've gone if you've managed to drive outside your 15-minute area. And I can tell you that this has been put together by the Joondalup Council, sponsored by the Joondalup Council. So WA never shy in keeping an eye on their people. And pardon me. Thank God that bastard McGowan's gone, but looks like you've got someone just as bad, if not worse. Never a good thing when that sort of shit happens. I'm sorry that it is happening to you folks. I really am. I've got a few other bits and pieces here I wanted to talk about. Oh, yeah, righto. So I very rarely get on Facebook these days, but I was on it briefly yesterday, and I have 3 devices. I can't remember which one I was on, and the 3 different Facebook feeds on those 3 different devices get 3 completely different feeds. Weird. So I've been trying to find. I saw a thing yesterday done from a young tribal lady in the Kimberley. I think she was around Port Hedland. She was taking us on a day through her life. It was a stinking hot day. And what was she doing? Well, it was low tide. It's a 12-meter tide where she lives. It's a slow day and a low tide. And what does she do when low tide's out? Well, she goes and collects sinkers. Right? Now, hell of a job walking around on the rocks and the slime, unpicking sinkers from some of those bloody big gang hooks and shit they're fishing off that jetty with. But wow, what a talent she is. The way she presented herself and her story about her day, I was enthralled, couldn't stop watching. It's wonderful to see such talent floating around our country. And I want to see more of it. In fact, I want to give it a place where we can see it all together. So to do that, we've got to get around the country and see a bit more of the country. Going to Coffs Harbour next week. So that's 1 trip. We'll be heading to far north Queensland. That's 2 trips. We're coming to South Australia. That's 3 trips. We are going to be coming to Victoria and New South Wales. That's 4 trips. We're halfway going to the Northern Territory. That might be 5 trips. So in the near future, 2023, 2024 is going to be a big year for the Voice of Freedom, and we want you to be part of it all. If you have talent, like that young lady from the Kimberley, I definitely want to talk to you. If you want to showcase your town, if you've got something you want to show us, if you want to, be what we call in the business a stringer, then I want to talk to you. It doesn't matter if you've got no experience, if it's just something you want to give a go at. If you already do video blogs for yourself or you don't mind standing in front of a camera talking, then great. We might have a place for you. So get in touch. Carl@vofhq.com. I may not get back to you for a couple of weeks yet. It might be a month, but I will get back to you. And if we're coming to your town, I will call on you, and we'll see whether or not you want to come and play. We're going to have some pretty nice gear on the road with us, and if you've got a story to tell, we want to hear it. We want to share that story with the country, good, bad, and indifferent. We can't all be down and deep down, deep state, dark and miserable stories. I'm about having as much fun as the next bloke. I don't mind a joke, and I love talented people. So if you have a talent, and if it's an original song you've got or something like that you want to come and sing, then great. Even if it's not an original song and you still want to come and sing it, great. Come, let's hear your voice. But if you are interested in putting together some interesting stories about your town, about your area, or about things people can come and see and do, then I want to talk to you about that. That's great. And if you're a business in those towns and you're looking to get a bit more business coming in your door, then I want to come and help you do that too. So a lot of big plans coming up for Voice of Freedom this year, and it'll only work if we do the right thing by you guys. And that means, as it's always been, the Voice of Freedom is your voice. Obviously you get to hear a lot of mine, but I want to be able to tell your stories. And there are those folks who just won't have the voice to tell it. That's where I'm happy to step up and tell their story for them if required. But we can do this together. And I'm looking forward to trying to help build this with you and the partners that we're going to develop going forward this year. It's going to be huge, going to be absolutely huge, and I'm really looking forward to being able to tell you much more about it. We'll be able to demonstrate things for you like EMF readers. Now, I'm going to play you a video here about it's about 2 minutes long. It's going to give you a bit of an idea of EMF and what EMF signals can do to you. Don't get too upset about it but just yet, but do be aware that EMF is a thing, and EMF readers are available. Now, you can pick them up pretty cheaply. And when I say pretty cheaply, they're cheap for a reason. A good one you'll pay around $100 for. So if you're going out looking for EMF readers, then that's the sort of price range you want to start at and go up from there. We will try and do a little bit of a test on them all at some stage, hopefully in the next couple of months, where we can get one of each sort of thing and try and test how good they are. But that'll depend on funding and all sorts of things going forward. But we are working to try and put something together that's going to be quite special, very unique in this country. Very unique in the world for that matter. It'll be a first. So really hope you can be part of it. And I know a lot of members are already talking about how they can be involved. And well, there are certainly a lot of ways for members to be involved. If you want to be a member, just log onto the website, vofhq.com, go to the membership tab and tap away. Conversely, if you don't want to do that, then please just drop us a donation if you can. That would help us get us to our next town as well. It turns out somewhere in the middle of all those trips, I'm going to need to go to Melbourne by the sounds of it. There is some real evil shit going on in Melbourne. We've known that for, I don't know how long. But the Balaclava station, and I believe there's something going up in St Kilda as well, have got some murals by a guy called Mick Porter, M-I-C Porter. Some of the images that I'm seeing are really quite satanic, quite violent, quite bloodthirsty, gory, in nature. Particularly at the Balaclava station, he's got something there that's hundreds of meters long, and it's awful. I'm so surprised that it's in Balaclava. I mean, that is the home, for people who don't know it, Balaclava is Jewish Central. It is essentially that whole area, Balaclava, Caulfield, is home to the largest Jewish population in Melbourne. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, go north of the river, you'll find, all the Greeks and all the Turks and everybody else. And Melbourne's a wonderful city. But it does have people who tend to live in enclaves. And Balaclava is a deeply Jewish community. How something like this was allowed to be put up on their railway station wall is a little bit questioning. But I'm told by my contact down there that it is painted in such a way that, and in colours, that if you're walking along the footpath, you don't really take notice of it. It's something that you get subliminally through your side eye, if you like. And even if you were to turn, the mural is so large, you wouldn't be able to take it all in. It's not until you step back, get over the road from it, really, I guess, that you can take in its full imagery. And most people don't do that. Most people just blindly walk past it every day. So if you happen to be in Melbourne and you can drive past the Balaclava station, if you happen to have a video camera or something on your iPhone, bit of spare room, I would love a video of it. I would like to see it up close and personal. I'm sure that there is going to be some imagery that's not immediately apparent to the naked eye. What you'll probably have to do is have a look for. It might look like it's been painted over. There'll be signs. There'll be names. There'll be could be all sorts of things, spells cast in there too. So I'm just keen to see just how rotten it is. I've seen some images enough to certainly pique my interest, and I've spoken to the guy that sent me those. Very keen to go down and have a look at the whole thing, and I think if people are as upset by those images as I am, I can't understand why that piece of artwork is allowed to stay up. But that's something we'll get onto next week, and I'll get those images up so we can show you. Although you can do a search on Balaclava Station and Mick Porter, I think his name was, and you'll be able to have a glance at it yourself. It seems like he can draw one image really well. He just does one image with a few variations, but some of those variations are quite eye-opening. Paul, thank you very much for your tip. Take a raincoat and umbrella. Coffs Harbour, famous for the rain. Mate, I've been walking around this week in about 5 layers of clothing. So thank you to the Black Sheep in Tasmania. I am the proud owner of an electric jacket that is both waterproof, big enough to get entirely around me, has a hoodie, and comes with 2 batteries to keep me fully warmed. I'll probably have to give that to the old fella. And stay warm. I'm going to bring an extra pair of gloves for him and maybe a beanie. I will try and keep him warm. We don't want to get him. We don't want to get him crook. So thanks for the warning. We'll be very aware of that. Yeah, George, plan on stopping at the Big Banana. John generally likes pie shops. I don't know how he's going to go at the Big Banana. We'll tell him they sell pies, and he can just have that look of disappointment on his face when we get there and take the photo. I don't know. Maybe they do. I don't know. Sunflower, thank you so much for your sticker. God love you. And thank you to anybody else. If you haven't seen anything else so far, I'm just scrolling down through the comments now. Thank you for helping every little bit. You've got no idea how far it goes. So thank you very much. Without you, I wouldn't have been able to get my car rego paid. So thank you. Yeah. Thanks, Redneck. That's referring to one of your elders up there. That's brilliant. He won't vote in the affirmative. That is what we're chasing. We cannot allow these people to be hoodwinked by this, corrupt corporate fiasco calling itself a government. They will be writing themselves out of their own sovereignty if there is any kind of a movement toward the yes vote. And of course, we have to keep the vote movement going, the no vote movement going, even though the press is starting to say, the vote's already lost, the the no vote are winning. Well, we're not. Don't believe that for a second. They're only playing the fake media game at the moment. Make sure you keep telling people about this. Make sure if you have tribal people who are friends of yours, make sure you tell them about the Pacific Islander Protection Act 1975 and try and get them to read it. It's not long. I mean, literally a couple of pages. And it's big writing and it's not detailed. It's not hard to understand. It's very clear, in fact, particularly point number 7. So go and have a look at that. Dig that up yourself. The Pacific Islanders Protection Act 1975. And if we can get our tribal people everywhere to understand that, then we have won that battle at any rate. Obviously, this referendum has to be held in a way, I'm not even sure that it will get to be held yet, but it'll have to be held in a way where the count cannot be doubted. And I don't know that the government or anybody else can actually supply that sort of guarantee at the moment. We've got such a problem with believing vote counts and the government. Nobody trusts them, and yet apparently they still get voted in. Nobody trusts them. Nobody believes them. Nobody thinks they're going to do anything that they say they're going to do, and yet they still get voted in. Very, very, very strange. Mel, you want to know where do you sign the log of claims? Well, John and I were only talking about that today, as you, funnily enough, you should mention that. So the Voice of Freedom is getting back on the road. We are hopefully going to be geared up in a way that we will be very flexible with what we can do. I'm really looking forward to the opportunity to do this. We're just trying to seal a few things up now and hopefully raise the money that's required to finally wrap up a deal that will put a great deal of what can I say here? It'll help us get where we need to go. Okay, it's basically the crux of it. And when we get there, we will be able to roll our gear out, present shows, not just for the Voice of Freedom, but we will do things for the towns that we come to. We want to come in and help. We want to help grow your businesses. We want to help grow your tourism business. We want to let people know about the great things in your area that they need to come and see, do, think, and feel. And if you're a My Place or something like that, then we were definitely out for promoting you guys. We plan on visiting as many My Places in Australia as we possibly can. I think we're up to over 160, maybe over 170 by now. So it's awesome. We will hit the road. When I say we, it'll be Laura, it'll be me, it'll be the dog, and occasionally I think we might get the wily old pirate out. I'm never going to get him to come south during the winter months. So we'll have to arrange something when it's a bit warmer for him to go down there. But well, now having said that, if there's good fishing on somewhere down there, let him know. He'll start angling for a push down that way. Maybe somewhere off Eden. Been a little while since I was fishing down Merimbula way and whatnot. And when I say a little while, 1995 was the last time I was fishing at Eden or Merimbula. So, yeah, bloody long time ago. So, yes, we will be getting back on the road and we will be coming to get your stories. If you could, thanks, Keefe. If you could, hit the like button, folks, and take notice of the number of likes before you hit the button. Just see whether or not it actually goes up one. I think we're finding through YouTube that it doesn't really matter how many times you hit the like button. It doesn't get, it doesn't really tick over much at all. And as for those folks who might like to try and subscribe to particularly the Nun 2K channel, they can find that a bit difficult difficult at times. If you haven't subscribed to the Nun2K channel, NUNN number 2 letter K, then go and do so. I like that just because it upsets them, but we know that subscribers to that particular channel, if 1,000 people try to subscribe in one day, I will get one of them. So 1 in 1,000 is what usually winds up on my subscriber lists. That's why you see it sitting at about 10,700. They don't let it grow. They won't let it grow. So I just like to give the algorithm a bit of hassle. So if you want to subscribe and piss it off or do whatever, then great. I don't think the algorithm's going to let you, but try. It would be helpful if you could somewhere down the track. Oh, it was interesting today. YouTube sent me, they limit every one of my shows that is monetized. They limit it or they ban it, make it ineligible for monetization. So my earn out of YouTube is absolutely minuscule. I think, just trying to think, last month, it doesn't even pay a week's rent. So I can't tell you exactly what it was. It was less than $200. So, and that's because they limit every video. But today they've sent me a big, hey, YouTube creator, we want you to do this. It'll help you make more money with my members. Oh, really? So I haven't looked into it yet, but I don't know. Don't think YouTube are going to let me make money out of that either. So I don't hold high hopes. But it's nice to see that they're trying. Did I cover everything else here? Yeah, I think I've just about covered everything else off. You might see me over the weekend, folks. I know I've been a bit slack this week. There just has been a few things happening in the world that I've needed to be over. A lot of reading, a lot of catching up this week, and a lot of phone meetings with people, which have started at 7:30 in the morning and ended, in some cases, at midnight. Not the same person, but it's just been a hell week for whatever reason. I'm also working on helping some people who've reached out. So that's taken a little bit of time, and I've been able to get a little bit of help for 2 people in particular who really need it right now. And hopefully through this process over the last week, it's become apparent for whatever reason that people are reaching out to me for help. Really help at pretty dark times in their lives. I find myself hamstrung. I want to help. I don't really know how in some cases to help. But the fact of the matter is I know a lot of people. So that's really what's happened over the last 2 weeks, if I'm honest now. I've found a guy that I can reach out to, and he knows people. So we've been trialing, if you like, a couple of people that we are trying to help. And should we prove to be in some way effectual of that, then I want to find more people like this guy. And I'm going to create a team of you. There should be some of you in every town. There are plenty of you watching now. But when I'm ready to tell you, and some of you won't be this kind of person at all. Some of you will be more like me. Some of you will be more gung-ho. Some of you, won't be. That's okay. We have a place for everybody. But if you are a carer, if you are somebody who can help, if you have contacts, if you have skills or training in particularly mental health areas, then I'm going to start something through the Voice of Freedom that I would love you to be part of. Your choice. If you can help, that would be great. But it's going to be a group of professionals that we trust from the freedom movement, who have the skills to help and have the contacts to be able to help. In one case, one of the people we've been able to help wasn't able to get medication for some time, a couple of months or more. Badly needed medication. Why weren't they able to get it? because the surgery that this person had been going to for the longest time decided they no longer wanted to deal with him because there was no jab involved. So instead of getting help elsewhere or being able to seek help elsewhere, nothing happened. Obviously, without the medication, life became a lot harder. And then there was a cataclysmic event that followed, and the man needs help. So we found someone who can help. He's been able to find a doctor who can and will prescribe the medication that's required. He's reached out and been able to find others who can help in other ways and help with this cataclysmic event, which I'm not going to talk about, but suffice to say, big event in a guy's life and needs a bit of help fixing it. So I've only been able to be one link in that chain, and somebody else has taken that over. At the appropriate time, we'll get it all together. We'll give them a page on the website, and hopefully you'll sign up and become a member of that group too, because there's going to be a lot of people who need our help coming up, one way or the other. God knows, I might need your help if nothing happens in the near future. I could go stir crazy, but if things do happen the way we're all hoping it's going to happen, then a lot of normies are going to wake up and are going to need help. And rather than a portion of us is going to sit back and point our fingers at them and say bastards, 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 and point out what sort of trolls they were and that sort of carry on, that's not going to achieve anything. These people are going to need help. They are going to be genuinely shocked awake, and that will be disorientating. That will be frightening, and it will, to a certain point in their understanding, be humiliating that they didn't see this and we did. The conspiracy theorists, or analysts, as I like to refer to us in the world. So, yes, a lot of good things on the way. I'm very positive about the future, folks. Very, very positive about the future. Springtree, thank you so much. And Sunflower, another. Oh, geez. Thank you so much. You're reaching into that piggy bank. Elsa, you too. Thank you so much for my super sticker. Those stickers, amazing things. God, really amazing things. So thank you so much. You've been wanting one of those, I think it's a Milwaukee jacket that he's talking about there. That's the warm jacket. It's got the batteries in the back, and I mean, it's fully lined. It's got hand warmers, the whole deal. I mean, it is just the duck's guts when it comes to warm jackets, I've got to tell you. And the batteries last a fair time too. Very decent. Oh, look, I did want to mention one thing. Q phone. Somebody got a hold of me and said Ricardo was asked. Somebody asked a question, said about Carl Leavold going on about how we're all going to have to get Q phones, and don't care if you don't want to use one. Well, I don't really care if you don't want to use one. I'm not saying Q phones are going to come into existence. I'm just saying that of all the things that we've heard that have to happen, something has to come into existence to help us understand it. Because this piece of shit, you can't even say it, but that piece of shit there isn't going to work, all right, on the new system. Or if it is, it isn't going to work for long. Why? Because it's eminently hackable, and every piece of information on that phone about you is already in the deep state's database. So why would you want to hang on to it? What is such the issue if you were to get a new phone? Some of the screams and moans that I heard were about, oh, it's so controlling. Is it any more controlling than having that? Well, sorry, try and get it to somewhere where you can see it. The phone. Is it any more controlling than having a mobile phone today? It'd just be a different mobile phone. It may not be that the Q phone is the way that you access your bank account, but you access your bank account on your phone now. What's the difference? Other than it being a secure bank account. How might you get that phone? Well, that perplexes me. How might you get such a secretive phone that nobody has ever seen, let alone can prove exists? How do they move, considering that the plan is to get one of those phones into the hands of every human being on Earth at the same time, relatively. How do you move those phones around the Earth and get them to the places where they have to be distributed from without somebody dropping a box open and seeing what they are, taking a photo of it and sharing it? I don't know. Maybe it can happen. Might happen by spaceship. Who knows? Who knows? But I do believe we are going to need something in a quantum system that we can connect to it with. And I don't believe that our current phone system would do it. How will the rollout work? Well, we have heard through various different intel over the days, weeks, and months past that when the financial system changes, then banks will no longer be banks. What will they be? Well, they'll be similar to banks, we've heard. Well, could it be that you're going to get a new quantum bank account? Because if this financial system the reset is what it says it is, everybody's going to be topped up money-wise, right? But it's not going to go into your current bank account. Why? Because it's part of the old system, and the old system will be shut down. You're going to need a new quantum bank account. You might have to go into a bank branch to set that quantum bank account up in person, like you would if you were going to set up a bank account at a bank now. Now, there are a lot of people who say, well, I don't want access to a bank. In fact, I was talking to a bloke today who doesn't even have a bank account. There are plenty of people out there who don't have bank accounts, right? You're out of their system. So why would you have a bank account? Now, if you figured a way around the hardships of getting paid and not having a bank account and finding a way to pay your bills, which you can probably still do through the post office or whatever with cash, then that's bloody great. But if you've got, and let's just say, I'm pulling a figure out of my ass, let's just say you had $100 million put into your new quantum bank account in your name, and you receive the letter, assuming, of course, that you still receive mail, or an email that says your appointment is down at what used to be called the old, NAB on the corner of such and whatever streets at this time and date. Please bring along your ID, as we will be setting up your new bank account. Now, are you going to ignore that? No, you can keep the $100 million. Okay, that's fine. If that's what you choose to do, it'll go into humanitarian money, go into humanitarian product or projects. That would be my understanding of what happens with it if you choose not to be involved. Yes, you will be able to live off the grid and not be involved with the system in any way if that's what you choose, because that is what we get to do. You get to make those choices. So nobody's forcing you to do anything. So the whining and screaming that people were doing to Ricardo about Carl saying this and Carl saying that about quantum phones, and upset that I don't care if you don't. I don't care. None of us care whether you want to use it or not. It's your choice. I'm not saying that to denigrate you. I'm not having a go at you. It is your choice. We are fighting. That's what this is about. We are fighting for our ability to be free to do what we choose. If you choose not to have a quantum bank account and not to have a Q phone, if that's in fact what it all turns out to be, then yip-yah for you. I don't care. You shouldn't care whether I choose to have a Q phone or not. It's no business of yours. It doesn't matter to you. It makes no impact on your life. Same as your decision not to have one makes no impact on mine. I form no judgment against you for it. So why all the carry on? Oh, it's a control method. Oh, it's a control issue. Well, I can understand that the current financial system is the biggest control method that we have, right? We are controlled by money. What if money isn't the problem anymore? What are they going to control us with? Because if you've got all the money you need in the world to do whatever you like, you don't have to go to work tomorrow. You can choose to go fishing, get on a plane, take plane flying lessons, buy your own plane, and fly wherever the hell you like, if that's what you choose. That's the beauty of what we're fighting for. Free choice. Freedom to do what you want to do. If you want to do it with a Q phone or not, the choice is yours. Now, what people fail and have continually failed to do over multiple lifetimes is look at the consequences of choice. Sure, we all say, oh, yeah, you got to look at the consequences, got to look at the consequences. But we only look at the superficial consequences, the immediate ones, the ones that really affect us. But what is the choice of not having a quantum phone? What do you miss out on? Well, you miss out on that financial freedom. So you then would be falling into the category of humanitarian aid that everybody else will be working for. So you will fall into an aid portion of the system, whether you want to be in it or not, because while you may have a bit of gold and silver, you may have a lot of gold and silver. You may be able to live your entire rest of your life out without ever having to rely on any kind of financial or quantum system for anything. If you're prepared to walk in and convert your silver and gold coin or whatever it is, and the person you're trading with, you're dealing with, you're trying to buy something from, is prepared to accept it. And of course, they always will, because it's precious metal. And it's what the quantum system is backed by. So no problem. Nobody says you have to go and accept the phone. At least I don't know that you have to. I haven't been given any inside information. I don't even know if a Q phone bloody exists. But I do think that something has to come to us. Some form of new technology has to come to us, because we are going to make a leap, a technological leap of proportions we really are unable to comprehend at this stage. We don't know how big it's going to be, but we do know that 6,000 technologies have been hidden from us, 6,000 world-changing technologies. And now, if we were not so well trained and so brainwashed into being slaves to the banking systems, if that is taken away and our slave blinds are lifted, what would we go off and do? If our financial freedom, our families, was secured, what would we go off and do? Would you go off and start playing with some of those 6,000 technologies? I will. That's exactly what I'll be doing. I want to get something that flies and flies fast and is safe, because I don't know how well I'm going to be flying it fast, safe, and low. But I'm right into propulsion technologies, that sort of stuff. I'm very interested in that going forward. Getting off fossil fuels, using the Earth's magnetic field as our propulsion. That's really interesting stuff that I'm into. Other people might find that very exciting at all. There'll be medical technologies, frequency and vibrational healing. There are another two areas I'm going to take a very great interest in. And I know most of us will take a level of interest in frequency healing. Frequency healing is what medbed technology is all about. And we all want to learn more about medbeds, I guess. So does that mean we want to become doctors? No, not necessarily. But we do like to know what we're playing around with. And if they can do that, what else can they do? What other technologies? 6,000 different bits and pieces of technology that will be released to us. And we don't have to turn up to work on Monday. All we need is our brand new 20 by 40 shed out the back and all the tools in the world we need to start playing. It's going to be an interesting time. Humanity is going to go forward very quickly. And for us to do that, we need this log of claims so that we've come together. We can unify. We've got one direction. We're all pulling in the same time. That's where our future lies, folks. And the log of claims, we want to bring it to your town. We will explain it to you. We'll sit down. And at the end of it, my goal is we will have one there for you to sign. Eventually, we will present this to the powers that be. Eventually, we hope to have many hundreds of thousands of signatures upon it. many hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of Australians. It is possible. We're looking into ways of getting digital signatures done now, thumbprints or capturing technology that we can use at our events, and we will have, a screen there you'll be able to sign with a log of claims on it, and hopefully, I think a fingerprint reader. If you choose, you can sign it with your thumbprint or a fingerprint, index finger or whatever you want to use. So we want to just be able to prove that if we do present this, and we've got, let's say, 100,000 names on it, we don't want to be able to have any one of those names challenged, as in, well, that's not really a person. You just made up 100,000 names. I would like to be able to show a picture of you signing the log of claims at our events, and that can be done as you're signing it off a camera on the digital thing you'll be signing, a big iPad. So if you're agreeing to that, then I'd be happy to put that in place. But at the end of the day, signature is all that's required. We will print these things out if that's what you want, and you can sign them away on the night, and we will cart them around in boxes and find a storage shed to put them in, and at the appropriate time we'll go and dump them on the or in the appropriate place. And not dump is the wrong word. We will push them through the doors. We will push them and make sure that your voices are heard, because that's what the Voice of Freedom is about, leading your voice around the nation. We want you to be part of it. I really hope you can. Have a safe weekend, folks. Please be very safe on the roads. There is a lot of holiday traffic, a lot of kids. Please don't be part of some disaster over the weekend. I know that I usually end with the dickheads on the roads, but there's been just some horrible car accidents and whatnot late. Some of them are just that, tragic accidents. Some people are dickheads. Let's try and avoid both, hey? Just the accidents and the dickheads.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back.
Does anybody else want to stay?
Let's ride!
Okay, here's a sneaky one for you. If you're still watching, I'm just posting a link into the chat. This will be the combined chat. I'll open up a Rumble window and drop it in the chat there too. If you haven't seen it yet, I believe, I haven't seen it myself yet, but I'm going to go and try and watch it now. I believe the link I've just posted in the chat is a link to Sound of Freedom. So if you want to have a look at it, be aware, it's all about child trafficking. And you've probably had a look at the backstory. Is it good? Is it bad? Is Tim Ballard CIA? Is Mel Gibson and Icon Productions? That's Max Production. Max. That's his production company. So I was going to call him Mad Max. Bloody ridiculous. Mel's production company is called Icon, and they do the one eye thing over that. That's some of the latest revelations around it, but it has got a hell of a lot of hoopla. It was released on July 4 in the US, and it has been the biggest grossing movie, beating out all the Disney movies and all that sort of stuff. So if you would like to have a look, I'm pretty sure that's the full movie. I haven't seen it myself. I'm told that's the link. But look, if it turns out to be porn or something, let me know and I'll go and shoot the bastard that gave me the link. But outside of that, enjoy, and maybe we'll have a chat about it tomorrow, hey?
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back.
Does anybody else want to stay?
Let's ride!